Alright, I want to talk to you guys about the documentary hypothesis um, as it and creationism as it pertains to the Evangelicals. Probably the best book on the hypothesis theory is Who Wrote the Bible by Richard Elliott Friedman. And there's another video up here on the documentary hypothesis. Just type in documentary hypothesis. It'll come up, and it's a guy explaining it and showing the triplets and couplets that are in or doublets, I should say, that are in the 5 books of Moses, especially in Genesis, and stories that are even combined, such as the story in Numbers where Moses apparently sins against God, but there's no sin to be found there. Originally he's with Moabites, and then in the end he's with Midianites. It was the other way around. Look at it again. But no, for a century, the book even says, and Richard Elliott Friedman is a Jewish writer, and he says that he openly states there, yeah, for over a century now, all Christians, every major branch of Christianity, has accepted the documentary hypothesis, and every single theologian in the church or in the synagogue ascribes to some form of the documentary hypothesis. That is, that you have different writers of the books of Moses. Now, so for over a century we've had, and this was written 20, 30 years ago, we've had theologians agreeing that the books of Moses were compiled by different authors. We call them books of Moses because that's what the rabbinical Jews called it. But if you look in church history, it was always debated, and it was always wondered about who wrote this book, because it blatantly couldn't have been Moses, because it talks about Moses' death, and it includes cities that weren't yet built. And it talks about things that could have only happened in Solomon's reign, and places that only existed under Solomon to Hezekiah, they include in the books of Moses. Well, that's hundreds of years later. How could this be? And even the language of a lot of things is different. You know, it doesn't jive. So, but the Bible, a lot of the old King James, like the Book of Moses, Genesis, or Exodus, Book of Moses, you know, it'll have that. It's just a title. And then, but this is older than 100. It's beyond past 100 years. There's always been discussion who wrote it. There's never been any church ruling on it. No church has ever really taken it up, because it's not really a church question. It's not something the church should answer. I guess unless you're a Western Christian, and then you think that everything should be answered by the church, which is ridiculous. But is there anybody who doesn't subscribe to the documentary hypothesis? Yes. Evangelicals. These are the same people that took the old list of the old catalog from the rabbinical Jews and said, oh, the earth is only 6,000 years old. Something that was never stated before, nobody looked at, nobody cared, and they started expounding creationism as soon as Darwinism was taught. And almost immediately, evolution was accepted by every single major branch of Christianity. There were certain individuals that fought about it, but they didn't. It wasn't something that dealt with Christianity. It didn't deal with the deity of Christ or anything. But since the Western Church had the idea of original sin, well then, Adam screws that all up. But even with that, the Catholics weren't worried, and the major groups weren't worried. Any major Protestant denomination didn't care. So we have documentary hypothesis, we have creationism. Oh yeah, and we have the rapture, which again doesn't show up. Maybe the earliest form of it shows up about 180 years ago. So these three modern ideas of well, Moses writing the text is ancient, but that belief that Moses wrote it is instantly revived with the evangelicals because they open up their Bible and they say, "Oh, Moses wrote." Okay, it says it in the Bible, even though it's not in the Bible. It's just the title above there, uh, just saying this is the works of Moses. That's how it was translated from the Vulgate when Jerome did it. So, why am I bringing this up? Because whenever it seems on here when I encounter the atheists, they try to stick on some of these points that aren't Christian, and then they say, "Oh, you're not. I think you seem insane. You know, you don't know anything about Christianity." These atheists who only talk to evangelicals, that's who they need. They need the evangelicals because, I mean, these people who come are severely undereducated, who believe that the Bible is a medieval forgery, uh, that all Christians everywhere at all times have believed in creationism, and it's a new thing that people don't. No, it's a new thing that people do believe in creationism. That's not old at all. The rejection of the documentary hypothesis. People, oh, why? If Moses wrote the Old Testament, well, he didn't. He didn't write anything. He wrote nothing down. But they can't do it. And you say, where in the Bible it doesn't say that? No, but Christians believe. No, nobody does. Only the evangelicals. Same thing with the rapture. Catholics don't believe it. Never mentioned it ever. Nor did the Anglicans. The Orthodox never did. The breeding ground for atheism is the evangelicals. It is the people who pick up the Bible and say, this is the inerrant word of God. No, the inerrant word of God is Jesus Christ. There is no other. And that's actually in the Bible. But you can't tell them that. The rejection of these accepted ideas, these norms in Christianity, is what the evangelicals thrive on. The literal translation, not the literal translation. I won't say that. And I'm using this word in a different context. The literacy of it, not use context. No, they don't. They take that and they say, "Oh, see, this is all," and it's kind of strange because there's a lot of parables, a lot of mystical texts in there. Nope, we're going to read this like it's a textbook. This is the textbook from. This is they call it a handbook or a manual. No, it's a recorded history. And if you know if you're a literate person, you realize that histories in ancient times included theodicy, mythology, things like this. But the atheists can't argue against the rational Christians, because or the sane Christians or the majority of Christianity. One, because the Christians don't want to talk to them. There's no need. They already don't believe in God. Why do we? What's the problem? You know. They want to. They and because the things that the atheists try to combat the majority of Christianity on, the majority of Christianity doesn't believe. It's the evangelicals, and they're very new beliefs. So the evangelicals are the craziest and the loudest. And all the atheists do is point, oh, see, that's the same thing. And you know what? They're the true believers. They're not the heretics. It's funny. Brian Fleming, Kelly O'Connor, these undereducated people, miseducated, misinformed people, claim that fundamentalist Christianity, even though it's new, it's been around. This form of Christianity may have been around for 150 years, if that. They say, oh no, that's how Christianity always was. You know, the church kept everything written down. You can go back and read what they believed in the year 1000, what they believed in the 1500s. Do they do that? No. It's very odd, the fact that I have people come on here who know nothing about Christianity, who just, get their information from Christianity from TV or from talking to evangelicals. And then they want to come and try to debate with me about things. And it's not even debates. Christians believe in creationism. No, they don't. They do too. See, you're stupid. You don't know that. Blah, blah, blah. It's ridiculous. Hopefully this is the last video I'm going to make about atheists. I really don't care. I just don't give a shit. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. Then don't come on my channel. Don't leave comments. Your video is so stupid. I couldn't even finish watching it. Then you're gonna comment on it. So how do you like the movie 300? Oh, stupid. Oh, really? Why didn't you like it? I don't know. I didn't see it. I mean, you can tell these people's. I mean, no. You can tell they act like evangelicals. Why are the atheists acting like evangelicals? It's pretty much the same thing. You're in the same boat. Wildly undereducated. And again, I'm not talking about all atheists. I'm talking about the people who label themselves atheists. Because if you're an atheist, that's just something you don't believe in. It doesn't, man. It's like not believing in the Easter Bunny. There's no name for it. The vast majority of atheists just don't give a shit. Or they honestly don't believe. People who want to argue and want to, yeah, that's the evangelicals and the atheists, and they can go in a closet and make out, get it on with each other. That's not really the prime force for this channel. But if you look, the people who push creationism are the fertile soil for the atheists. Because what atheists say, oh, because Christianity is against science, because Christianity doesn't believe in evolution. That's why they're atheists. They never say, oh, because the books of Moses were written by 4 different people. They never say, oh, because of evolution, or I mean, everything. They disbelieve in evangelicalism, but they don't know what orthodoxy is. So they just attach it to evangelicalism. Say it's the same thing. Sheer ignorance. I'm going to make a resolution right now. This is the last video I'm going to do talking about the relationship between orthodoxy and evangelicals and atheists, because it's just too much. I mean, how many times can I say the same thing over and over again? Then peace, blessed and holy week.